First Corinthians 9:24 through 27. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about running. So come on. Running is one of the easiest sports to get into, and yet at the same time, one of the most difficult to master. It's easy to get into because it requires minimal equipment. What you need is a good pair of running shoes. Although, if you don't have that, tennis shoes will work just fine. You want shorts, a shirt, depending on weather, maybe long pants, or some combination of all of those things. And that's pretty much it. If you'd like, you could have a water bottle, wireless earbuds, a hat, a phone with a GPS tracker. You don't need those things. All you need are a comfortable pair of shoes and some comfortable clothes. It's also easy to get into because it can be done anywhere. You don't need a special court or field or track. You can go right outside your front door and take off. And you don't have to be particularly skilled to run. Obviously, not everybody is going to be an Usain Bolt or an Eliud Kipchoge, who on October 12th of 2019 ran a sub 2-hour marathon with an average pace of 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I am exhausted just saying that out loud. Ultimately, people of all shapes, sizes, ages, and abilities can run. Even if you've never run before in your entire life, you can step outside, pick a spot in the distance, and run to it. It's easy to get into, but mastering it is a whole other thing. Because running ultimately is hard work. It taxes your lungs, your heart, your muscles, but more importantly, it taxes your mind. You have to get out there and have a strong mind to say, even when I don't want to take another step, I will keep going. I will keep going. So how do you get to be a better runner? You train. Training for anything requires sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice you are willing to make because you realize that what you are giving up is so much less than what you get in return. Can you think of a time in your life where you've sacrificed something in order to get something greater? If you are training for something, it requires a great deal of physical and mental preparation. You may end up changing your diet, changing your sleep schedule, adding exercise in, and sacrificing your social life in order to get what you desire. You have to have a great deal of self-discipline, a clear purpose in mind, and real determination. Training is ultimately an exercise in delayed gratification. You're putting what you could get today off in order to receive something better at a later time. The Isthmian Games, which were held in Corinth every 2 years and second only to the Olympic Games, were this massive sports event that included running. Because these games were such a significant part of the Corinthian culture, the Apostle Paul uses that analogy to write to the church in 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27 and talk about what it means to be a Christian following after Jesus in this life that we call discipleship. In this analogy, Paul makes several important points, both about racing and discipleship. First, he says that we have to have purpose and determination. Runners generally have a goal when entering a race. Sometimes they are running to win. Sometimes they're running just to get a better time than they had previously. And sometimes they're running just to finish. But because of that purpose and that goal, they have a direction they're running, an incentive to run quickly, and a reason to train hard. In our lives following Jesus, we also have a purpose and a goal. We are called to become more Christ-like in our living. This means that we have a direction in which we're moving and goals to become more compassionate, more loving, more peaceful, and more righteous. Because those characteristics of Jesus are so different from the way the world lives, which tends towards selfishness and greed and anger and retribution, we have to train ourselves to live and think differently. And we have to be determined that we are going to live and think differently, even when everyone around us does something else. Biblical scholar William Barclay tells the story. Two men were on Mars looking down at Earth, and they were noticing the people around were just scurrying everywhere, to and fro, here, there, and everywhere. One said to the other, "What are they doing?" The other replied, "Well, they're going." "But," said the first, "where are they going?" "Oh," the second replied, "they're not going anywhere. They're just going." And so, to go just anywhere is to truly arrive nowhere. Eric Geiger and Kevin Peck, in their book Designed to Lead, call this taking the cruise to nowhere, as in getting on a boat, going out to sea with no destination in mind, returning to port after a few days and realizing that you went nowhere and you experienced nothing. If we don't have a purpose or a goal in mind for our faith journeys, then we are just taking a cruise to nowhere, never getting any closer to becoming like Jesus. The Apostle Paul secondly tells us that we need to keep our eyes on the prize. He tells us that the runners at Corinth ran to win a crown, this crown of leaves that gave temporary credibility to the athlete as being the best. But he makes the point that this crown would eventually wither and fade away. We, on the other hand, we are running for an eternal crown, life with God in heaven. Our eventual prize is indestructible and never-ending. So if our prize is so much greater than this crown the Corinthian runners are going after, who work so hard to earn it, how much more should we be training, focusing, and keeping our eyes on the prize? The question that I have for you today is, what do we do when it seems like the race has been canceled? This last Monday was supposed to be the Boston Marathon, that 26.2-mile race that has been at the heart of the city since 1897. For many competitive long-distance runners, this race marks the pinnacle of the sport. Over 30,000 athletes had been preparing to run the marathon, giving up sleep, giving up social events, and giving up ice cream, in order to reach their dreams. NPR interviewed Amanda Nurse, who is a runner and a coach who has run several Boston marathons and Olympic trials. And she said regarding the move to reschedule the race, when people found out that they weren't going to be able to run, most were hitting their max mileage. They were getting in the best shape of their lives. They were getting ready to taper off, and they find out now that it's been canceled. So that's devastating. For those runners that have been preparing for months and months to run this 26.2 miles, they were at the very height of their physical fitness, and suddenly their purpose and their goal and their prize was taken away. They had the reward of being in shape, of course, but that wasn't their goal to begin with. This week also, Governor DeWine announced that the school year for 2019 and 2020 was officially canceled. Now that is disappointing for many reasons. One of those being that spring sports were officially done. My wife and I, in walking around Lions Park in the evenings and during the days on weekends, noticed that there were lines spray painted into the gravel for a start and a 100-yard and a 200-yard. We had seen hurdles set up out there, and we had even seen high school athletes training in the hopes that they might get to have a track season. The West Liberty Salem girls track team was preparing once again to compete at the state level for championship. But due to circumstances out of all of our control, the race has been canceled. The purpose, the goal, and the prize taken away. So what do we do when our races get canceled? Well, we have to remember what our ultimate purpose and prize is. We aren't here on earth to win trophies or medals or crowns, as nice as those things may be. We are here to become more like Jesus by loving God and loving others. Our faith journeys continue, even when there are bumps in the road, even when there are significant disappointments. And there will be. Just like any run, there will be times when you don't want to go any further, when it feels like your lungs are just going to explode out of your chest, where you slip on some loose gravel and your body threatens to crumble. But we continue on. Jesus is our goal. But not only that, he is our coach, encouraging us when we are tired, cheering us on when we succeed, and comforting us when our races get canceled. We have a goal. We have a prize. Now we just need to get out there, strap on some shoes, and run. Keep putting your feet to the pavement, because even when life cancels your races, and it will, we know that our prize and our purpose is bigger than anything that this world has to offer. You can do it. I believe in you. That's all for now. Keep positive, keep safe. See you soon.